with contract status updates and more. This is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on and don't forget to like the video. In a previous interview, former WWE star Bobby Lashley talked about his relationships with Vince McMahon and Triple H as he told the Laboratory podcast, "If I say the wrong thing right now, I had a connection with Vince. Vince understood me. Vince was big on the show. He looked at people that were stars. He saw that in me. There were a lot of little nuggets that Vince would give me throughout my career and tell me different things. Vince looked at me like I can tell Bobby works his ass off. I can send him anywhere around the country to represent the brand. He looked at me like a star. I like Vince. I haven't really had too much of a connection with Hunter. Hunter has his guys. I've tried to, but we haven't really worked enough together to get to know each other." Now, Lashley has responded to the negative reception he has gotten for this comment, telling the Bo and Them show, "I said something where I had more of a relationship with Vince than Triple H, and everybody was going after me. Vince did this and Triple H did this." It was a very simple, innocent comment. When Vince was here, I had more conversations with him. I don't know what anybody does in their personal life, and where I work, that's what I concentrate on. And when we were there, Vince was always trying to pull a different side of me. So there were different things I did at that time when I was in the wrestling business when Vince was in charge. What Vince told me was, "I want to see different layers of you." He was like, "Man, there's so much more to you. So I want to make you feel uncomfortable on TV so that we can get those different layers." So I had a different relationship with Vince. When Triple H came on, we didn't really get a chance to sit down. He didn't get a chance to get to know me. Known for his time in WWE as Reginald and Scripps, Sidney Akeem debuted in Ring of Honor recently as he thanked AEW President Tony Khan on X, writing, "For real, I'm just a guy from Walnut Park. A lot of people don't make it out of where I come from. Favor of God. Thank you, Tony Khan, Ring of Honor, until I make more magic in that squared circle." In a video posted by Triple H, WWE Champion Cody Rhodes can be seen hyping up fans in Germany ahead of the Bash in Berlin Premium live event tomorrow.
On the other side of this camera is the boss. Pretend Triple H is on the other side of this camera.
As it was previously said that MJF's AEW Dynamite Diamond Ring was stolen, an update on this has been provided, with Ringside News writing that, according to the Wrestling Observer's Brian Alvarez, this may be a kayfabe explanation for the ring's actual disappearance. Alvarez noted that while it's unclear whether the ring was stolen or simply lost, it is confirmed to be missing from AEW's possession. If the ring does not turn up, it remains to be seen whether AEW will commission a replacement or if MJF will need to find a new signature weapon. A comedian, Robbie Roadsteamer, went up to Hulk Hogan during an event for Real American Beer and sang Hogan's theme song with Epstein plain lyrics.
Table. You can step up.
Hell yeah.
You have your phone set. Okay.
Look at the shirt, the MAGA powers. We're gonna destroy the woke. What are they gonna do when we drop the big boot on trans and we drop the big boot on everything? We're gonna drop the big boot on Social Security. Does that work for you, brother? Trump is a real felon. Then he went to Epstein Island. Trump, no physical, no political violence. No political violence. No political violence, though.
For details regarding the new gimmick of Jon Moxley that was showed off on Dynamite this week, Ringside News wrote that Moxley, known for his intense and unpredictable persona, debuted a new gimmick that has fans buzzing, and the inspiration behind it has now been revealed. During the broadcast, Moxley delivered a cryptic and intense promo addressing Tony Schiavone and mentioning his desire to have a conversation with Darby Allin, who is absent from the show. "It's about time that you and I have a talk," Moxley ominously stated, adding, "Trust me, I'm not going to be hard to find." Later, Moxley returned to the ring with a more serious tone, declaring, "This is not your company anymore," before abruptly leaving the scene, leaving fans intrigued by his new direction. According to Brian Alvarez on Wrestling Observer Live, Moxley's new gimmick is inspired by the 1992 cult classic film Romper Stomper. The film, starring Russell Crowe in his breakout role as Hando, follows the downfall of a neo-Nazi group in Melbourne, Australia. Moxley's promo on Dynamite appears to draw directly from a memorable scene in the movie where Hando tells a Vietnamese couple, "This is not your country," mirroring Moxley's line, "This is not your company." I actually know the movie he watched, Romper Stomper, Australian cult classic, 1992. He was playing Russell Crowe in what he was doing. I'm not making this up. That's a scoop for you, Alvarez reported, shedding light on the connection between Moxley's new character and the film. With ex-WWE star Donovan Dijak debuting in MLW, footage can be seen of this as a fan uploaded a clip. Responding to criticism following his main roster debut from fans online, Carmelo Hayes told Denise Salcedo, "Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's hard not to see it. We all have a stat where we all kind of, especially when you open the app and the first thing you see is criticism, which is okay. You know what I mean? Like, the fans are allowed to have their criticism and things like that, especially in sports and entertainment. You open yourself up to that and it's okay, but at the end of the day, you have to know who you are, what you stand for, and what it took to get to this level. There are so many things people would never understand that happen behind the scenes and the hard work we put in to get to this level. Also, you know how difficult it is to do what we do. I think it's easy to sit an armchair quarterback. We all do it with every sport or TV show. We say, I would have done this differently, or it should have been this or that. But until you're in that person's shoes, you'll never truly understand. But I'm open to all the criticism and the critique. I don't really hear it because I force myself to get better anyway, and these are all things that people say that I've already told myself. You think I haven't struggled with doubt on my own? But I just continue to be him, continue to progress, and keep learning. I'm still so new to this main roster thing, you know what I mean? People think if you're not champion or you're not beating everybody in the first 2 months, you're a failure, you're buried, or you're a jobber. That's the new thing, right? Everybody's a jobber, everybody's buried, so we're on a journey, y'all. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Recalling how Sammy Guevara threw a chair at Matt Hardy that caused an injury during an episode of AEW Dynamite from May of 2020, Matt Hardy said this on his Extreme Life podcast. So once again, we weren't even on live TV, it was a pre-taped episode, and to stay on our time, I think Sammy was a little antsy and he was kind of rushing a little bit as far as time goes. So they had positioned a couple of regular folding chairs, and the whole thing we talked about is, I wanted him to throw it Sabu style, style where it's flat, just your hands are there. You can kind of protect yourself and slide down the chair, and it just makes a noise. There was a heavy chair that was sitting right on the barricades right by that spot. These were just like around the barricade on the other side. He went over and didn't take his time and looked, but he was over there. I think he just panicked and he grabbed that one chair and then he just flung it. That chair weight, it was so heavy. Once again, I got my hands up and it rocked me as it hit me. If I hadn't got my hands up, it would have probably knocked me out in all honesty. But it obviously hit me hard because it split my head open so bluntly. It wasn't like it was a sharp end. It was just a blunt object that hit me so hard that it split my head. It rocked me. People were mad at Sammy, and I just remember coming back and I had a stern conversation with him. I was just like, you've got to take your time. It wasn't like screaming and yelling. I was just like, I know it was an accident. He was just so insanely apologetic. He felt like, he really did. He felt terrible. We just kind of chalked it up. I remember talking to Jericho about it too, and we're just like, hey, we gotta just chalk this up and use this now. This gives us some ammunition because everybody's talking about it, and hopefully it ends up being a happy accident, as sometimes incidents like that are described in the business. So yeah, we had a stern talking to like, dude, you can't rush if you get out there and there's something going on. Just think about if you throw that chair, the damage it could do, because the most important thing is that you protect your opponent when you're out there. It's very, very important. I think he took all that to heart and he really felt bad for it. That was the only time I was really truly upset with him. We had this stern talking to afterwards. I'm sure there were people concerned. Obviously, he's out there with a guy that is considered a legend or whatever, and he should have been more careful when it came to grabbing a weapon and throwing it and what he was going to do, especially because the other chairs were there too. They were just on the other side of the barricade. So yeah, I think it kind of made people raise their eyebrows like, okay, we got to keep an eye on this guy just to make sure he is able to be a responsible, good soldier for AEW. We don't want someone that was reckless. So I feel like that was probably the beginning of his rep of being reckless, because that's kind of what he got. Making an interesting claim regarding a former AEW World Champion's contract with the promotion, Dave Meltzer wrote in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Swerve Strickland's new AEW deal is believed to be among the biggest deals in pro wrestling and said to be in the same pay range as Kazuchika Okada and Mercedes Moné. WWE feel that Swerve's new high-paying AEW contract is bad for the business, as it is so far over what WWE would perceive the market value to be. Asked about her goals for next year, WWE star Michin said this to Denise Salcedo: well, surprisingly, I think I've already accomplished the majority of it, which is just to kind of show people who I am and have people realize that I can do this and that I know what I'm doing. But I guess for 2025, I would love, whether it's tag titles or maybe a new mid-card title soon, hopefully I would just love to finally say I've won a championship in WWE. In some unfortunate news, ex-WCW star Villano V has passed away, with Ringside News writing that we are deeply saddened to report the passing of Villano V, a beloved member of the legendary Mendoza wrestling family. He passed away at the age of 62, leaving behind a legacy that has profoundly impacted the world of lucha libre and professional wrestling. Villano's death was confirmed by CMLL, who issued a heartfelt statement on Thursday extending condolences to the family and friends of Villano V, also known as Ray Mendoza Jr. In their tribute, CMLL recognized Villano V as a towering figure in Mexican wrestling history and a member of one of the sport's most illustrious dynasties. In 2022, Villano V, along with his four brothers, were inducted into the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Fame as Los Villanos, cementing their place in wrestling history. Their father, Ray Mendoza, was a lucha libre icon and part of the inaugural Observer Hall of Fame class in 1996, showcasing the profound impact the Mendoza family has had on the sport. Villano V began his professional wrestling career as a teenager in the 1970s and quickly rose to prominence. One of the defining moments of his career came in 2008 when he headlined CMLL's 75th anniversary show, defeating Blue Panther in a mask versus mask match, a bout widely regarded as one of the best matches of the year. His contributions to the sport have left an indelible mark. During the 1990s, Villano V worked for WCW along with his brother Villano IV, who is now the only surviving Villano brother. The duo made a significant impact in WCW, particularly on shows like WCW Worldwide and WCW Saturday Night, where they played heel roles and often cheated by switching places due to their identical attire. They also appeared on major WCW events such as Super Brawl 7 and Clash of the Champions 35. Lucha Libre AAA also issued a statement offering their condolences to Villano V's family, further highlighting the widespread respect and admiration he garnered throughout his career. Going over a star signing a new WWE contract, Ringside News wrote that, according to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, Nikki Cross has signed a new deal with WWE. Although she hasn't wrestled since November, she has re-emerged as an essential member of the Wyatt Six since their debut. Negotiations were ongoing in the spring, even before the faction made its debut. The new contract is reportedly a multi-year deal. Nikki Cross is currently a key member of the Wyatt Six faction. She's been prominently featured in the storyline, taking on the role of delivering Uncle Howdy's cryptic VHS tapes for weeks as the new stable was introduced to fans. Sources within WWE have reportedly consistently praised Nikki Cross, especially during the pandemic when numerous extras reached out to share how welcoming she was to them. She is beloved backstage and will continue fostering those positive relationships as part of the company. With Nikki Bella's husband recently arrested in Napa County over a domestic violence incident, Nikki had made a post the day prior that showed off that she was in the area. Now, Ringside News has said that Artem Chigvintsev, well known for his time on Dancing with the Stars and his marriage to former WWE superstar Nikki Bella, was recently arrested on charges of domestic battery. Following the incident, Nikki Bella has requested privacy for herself and her family as they navigate this challenging time. The situation began with a 911 call reporting a medical emergency at Chigvintsev's home around 8:30 a.m. Although a second call canceled the emergency request, the Napa County Sheriff's Office responded to the scene by 10 a.m. after the situation escalated. Officers confirmed visible injuries and subsequently arrested Chigvintsev on charges of felony corporal injury to a spouse or cohabitant. He was taken into custody and booked into the Napa County Jail with bail set at $25,000. Chigvintsev has since been released from custody, and the domestic assault victim is reportedly cooperating with the police. According to a report by TMZ, a representative for Nikki Bella, now known as Nikki Garcia, stated that the situation is a private matter and emphasized Nikki's request for privacy during this time. This is a private matter, and Nikki asks for privacy for her and her family at this time. This situation has led to various developments, including Nikki Bella's brother-in-law, Brian Danielson, unfollowing Chigvintsev on social media. Talking about the WWE contract that Kevin Owens has, this was noted in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Owens' contract, which was a 3-year deal, which at the time of signing was one of the highest in the company and in wrestling, will be due in early 2025. At the time, AEW was aware and didn't attempt to match his big offer, which tells you something about how salaries have escalated in the last 2+ years, because if it was this year, there is a good chance they would have tried to match the deal. The Strickland deal is well ahead of the Owens deal, which is at $2.25 million, $2.5 million, and $3 million over the 3 years was considered huge at the time. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.